By the mid-1990s, patients felt comfortable asking for more of the NHS than we could ever have expected before, even if that meant challenging the medical expertise of the doctors.
In 1996, Princess Diana wrote me a lovely letter, and I'll show you if you like. Would you like to see it? Dear Wendy, I have the deepest admiration for people like yourself who have the strength of character to overcome all adversity and who find the time and energy to devote your lives to such a worthwhile cause. With my very best wishes, yours sincerely, Diana. Quite a bit of it handwritten. It's all very heartfelt, isn't it? And especially what she wrote in it, you know, that she had the deepest admiration for people like me. I mean, that's amazing. That means a huge amount. My mum developed breast cancer when I was 15. That was in 1970. And she died in 1971. It's cruel beyond belief. It was an atrocious death. So I went to the doctor after my mum had died and said, could breast cancer be hereditary? Because her mum had had breast cancer in both breasts. And he said, oh no, don't be ridiculous, there's no such thing. And I enjoyed being reassured, but I didn't believe him.
Over the course of the next 2 decades, each time Wendy visited her GP, she would ask the same question: can you inherit breast cancer?
And each time I was told exactly the same thing. No, don't be silly, no such thing, stop worrying. I met up with my mum's cousin's daughter, who told me that she'd had breast cancer twice. Her sister had died at 38, her cousin and her mum had just developed it as well, and her auntie had also had breast cancer. To find that you've got 9 relatives in your family that have had breast cancer, that is terrifying. Hello, darling! Hello, beautiful!
So Wendy decided to take matters into her own hands.
By this time, I'm in my mid-30s. I genuinely thought that I wouldn't live to see my daughter having children. That's when I thought, well, you know, the most important thing would be to get rid of all the area where the breast cancer could start, just to eliminate that risk, just eliminate it.
First you just press that like that.
I got an appointment and I went to see this surgeon, and he said, well, I said, you're a first here, because most people, when they come to me, they say, can you just remove the lump and don't take my breast? And you're doing entirely the opposite. You haven't got a lump and you're asking me to take the breast tissue. But to me, this was the logical thing to do.
The surgeon agreed to operate, and in April 1993, Wendy became the first woman in Britain to undergo a preemptive double mastectomy for breast cancer. It was considered an incredibly bold move at the time, but within 5 years, science had proved she made the right decision.
Scientists have discovered a second gene that's believed to be responsible for inherited breast cancer.
BRCA2, as the gene's called, was identified through painstaking research.
It will now be possible to offer a genetic test to individuals who are at present well, but who have close relatives who have developed breast cancer.
I had the test and discovered I carry a fault in a high-risk gene. It vindicated my concerns that I'd had throughout all the years. And I just thought that it was important that other people had the opportunity to find out and take whatever actions they might wish were suitable for them. I wanted people to have access to all the options to help save their lives. And I've held the first Hereditary Breast Cancer Awareness Week, and I set up a helpline for other people.
By the mid-90s, the NHS's breast cancer screening programme, the first in the world, was covering the whole of the UK.
Women who come for breast screening can actually cut their risk of dying from breast cancer by 40%. In this country, that translates into about 1,250 women a year who will live another 20 years and be around for their families and their grandchildren.
And by the end of the decade, screening programmes for heart disease, other cancers, sexually transmitted infections and many more potential threats to our lives had been introduced. And as for Wendy, In recognition of efforts to promote breast cancer awareness, she was awarded an MBE by the Queen.